Sunfyre the Golden was King Aegon II Targaryen's dragon. Said to be the most beautiful dragon the world had ever seen, Sunfyre soon saw battle. During the Dance of the Dragons, Aegon rode Sunfyre into battle of Rooks Rest. As Meleys burned Criston's army, Aegon and his brother Aemond appeared on their own dragon. The three beasts clashed in midair. Meleys' fiery jaws snapped shut around Sunfyre's golden neck, but Vhagar intervened, sending all three dragons crashing to the ground. The impact was so intense that it dislodged stones from the battlements of Rooks Rest, over half a league away. Those closest to the dragons didn't survive the blast, while those farther away were blinded by the flames and smoke. It took hours for the fires to die down, revealing the devastating aftermath. Vhagar emerged unscathed, but Meleys lay dead, shattered, and torn apart. Sunfyre lost one of its wings and its rider. Aegon was left with severe injuries, including broken bones, burns covering half his body, melted armor fused into his flesh. King Aegon, severely injured, was taken to King's Landing to recover. Sunfyre, too huge and heavy to be moved, remained near Rooks Rest to heal. Sunfyre is described as crawling through the ashes like some great golden worm. Criston stationed men to guard the dragon, who initially fed on the burned carcasses of the slain soldiers. Later, they brought him calves and sheep to eat. When Wally's Mooten, Lord of Maidenpool, reconquered Rooks Rest, he led his bravest men to Sunfyre, hoping to slay the dragon. The attackers assumed they'd find Sunfyre on the brink of death, but instead, they found him slumbering. However, the clanging of swords and thundering of horses soon awakened him, and the first spear to strike him sent him into a frenzy. Covered in mud and entwined among the skeletal remains of numerous sheep, Sunfyre thrashed about like a serpent, his tail flailing wildly as he unleashed blasts of golden fire at his assailants. He attempted to take flight 3 times, only to crash back down to the ground. Mouton's men swarmed him with swords, spears, and axes, inflicting numerous severe wounds. Yet each blow only seemed to fuel his rage further. The death toll reached 60 before, including Wally's. The surviving attackers fled in terror. Within a fortnight, Sunfyre had vanished. Despite his injuries, he had recovered enough to fly once again. Sunfyre could no longer soar, not remain in the air for long. He must have struggled to fly even short distances, yet somehow he had crossed the waters of Blackwater Bay and eventually made his way to Dragonstone, where he hid in the dark piney woods and caves of Crackclaw Point. Some believed he was drawn by a primal instinct to return to his birthplace, or an urge to rejoin his rider, Aegon. He even fought a wild dragon called Greyhost and killed it, despite his injuries. The tale goes like this. Sailors on Nysaria observed 2 dragons, one with golden scales, fighting near the Dragonmont. The partially devoured corpse of a wild dragon, the Grey Ghost, was later found near the mountain's base. Aegon, disguised and accompanied by Sir Marston Waters and 2 others, discovered Sunfyre in a hidden lair on the Dragonmont. Tragedy struck once again when Aegon and Sunfyre fought Baela Targaryen and Moondancer. The dragons clashed, eventually crashing into the yard still fighting. Aegon jumped 20 feet from the saddle, but Baela crashed to the ground with Moondancer. The battle left Sunfyre even more injured than before. He was covered in fresh scars, had huge wounds along his neck and scabs on his belly, and had lost his right eye. No longer able to fly, Sunfyre remained in the outer yard, feeding on the carcass of Moondancer and later on slaughtered sheep. Dragonstone was now under the control of King Aegon II Targaryen and the Greens. In 130 AC, Rhaenyra Targaryen was captured by Greens upon arriving at Dragonstone. The Green-supporting writer Septon Eustace says Rhaenyra laughed when she saw Sunfyre, who was hurt. But Mushroom, who supports the Blacks, says she thought about how bad the war had been. In the end, Aegon decided to kill Rhaenyra by having his dragon eat her. People say that Sunfyre didn't want to eat Rhaenyra at first, but when Sir Alfred made her bleed, the smell of blood made the dragon want to attack. He burnt her, and it took him 6 bites to finish her off. Rhaenyra's son was forced to watch, and a witness reportedly blinded herself in horror. Sunfyre's own end wasn't much better. Tragically, Sunfyre's wounds ultimately proved mortal. The magnificent dragon succumbed to his festering injuries on the 9th day of the 12th moon of 130 AC. A grief-stricken King Aegon II ordered the execution of Baela Targaryen, who was being held captive. but he was persuaded to spare her life to avoid antagonizing House Velaryon. Aegon II returned to King's Landing to resume his rule, and in an attempt to revive his dragon-riding legacy, sent for dragon eggs from Dragonstone, hoping to hatch a new Sunfyre, even prouder and fiercer than before. However, his efforts were in vain, and he was unable to successfully hatch a new dragon. Some fans speculate that Aegon didn't truly care about Sunfyre, as he sought a new dragon so quickly after his death. Maybe the truth is simpler. Perhaps, in his own way, Aegon was trying to recapture what he had lost: his brothers, his wife, his children, and his loyal dragon. Sunfyre's story is a tragic one, filled with pain and loss. From his early days on Dragonstone to his battles during the Dance of the Dragons, Sunfyre proved himself to be a fierce but magnificent beast. Throughout the dance, Sunfyre the Golden remains a symbol of the beauty and terror of the Targaryen dragons.